Trump hails deal after historic talks with Kim Jong-un. G7 allies are angry over Trump's refusal to endorse joint trade and tariffs communique. Inequality has been overlooked in Mexico's political debate, and Mexico's industry will grind to a halt when Mexico plays in the FIFA World Cup. Hello and welcome to today's edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business. I'm Elliot Bullman. Let's go to the information. US President Donald Trump says his historic talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un that ended in a joint agreement were tremendous. The summit began with a striking image unimaginable just months ago. The two men walked towards each other and firmly gripped each other's hands in front of US and North Korean flags. The meeting was the first time a sitting US president has met North Korea's leader and caps a remarkable turnaround for the two. And now a signed document includes a pledge from Mr. Kim to rid the Korean peninsula of nuclear weapons. On nuclear weapons, Mr. Kim reaffirmed his firm and unwavering commitment to complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. And then, in an extraordinary media conference later, Mr. Trump announced details not mentioned in the paper. He said the US would suspend provocative war games it holds with South Korea. Mr. Trump also said he wanted to see US troops withdraw from the South. On denuclearization, he said that Mr. Kim had agreed to it being verified, a key US demand ahead of the meeting. Mr. Trump said Mr. Kim had also agreed to destroy a major missile engine testing site. But he said sanctions would remain in place for now and argued we haven't given up anything. Moving on. World leaders have responded angrily after US President Donald Trump fired off a string of angry tweets criticizing America's closest allies, hours after leaving a divisive G7 summit in Canada this past weekend. Mr. Trump said the US paid close to the entire cost of NATO to help protect countries that rip us off on trade. Fair trade is now to be called full trade, he added in response to the threat of new tariffs against the United States. His tirade came after G7 allies criticized his decision to reject a joint communique. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said on TV late on Sunday that his change of heart was sobering and a little depressing. The French presidency had earlier condemned fits of anger. After Mr. Trump had left the summit in Quebec, he rounded on Justin Trudeau personally, suggesting the Canadian Prime Minister was very dishonest and weak, and acts hurt when called out. The ill-tempered summit, which ended on Saturday, was marred by disagreements over trade. Mr. Trudeau, for his part, described as insulting Mr. Trump's decision to invoke national security to justify tariffs. In a news conference after the summit, and he vowed to press ahead with retaliatory moves on July the 1st. In other headlines, one of the main sub-themes for tonight's third televised presidential debate has barely been addressed, according to the authors of a new survey entitled Inequalities in Mexico 2018. The survey reveals that the issue of inequality has been superficially addressed by candidates for the presidency of Mexico and its coalitions, although it is one of the country's major problems and one of the sub-themes that will be discussed at this evening's debate. This event could influence the voters' decision in a radical way during the upcoming July 1st election. Fernanda Somoano, an academic at the Colegio de Mexico and one of the authors of the study, says that in some way the four candidates point to inequality as a problem that deserves attention in the agendas, but in reality none of them have concrete proposals that could really put an end to the problem. In the study, the authors analysed the number of mentions of the word inequality as a percentage of the total number of words on the platforms of the political parties and the electoral coalitions in this campaign. The results by party and by coalition vary, although they have one common denominator. The recognition of inequality in the platforms as one of the central problems of the country doesn't necessarily translate into comprehensive or defined proposals to address the different dimensions of inequality. The third presidential debate will be held tonight at 9 p.m. in the city of Mérida, Yucatan. And you can follow the debate live via MexicoNewsNetwork.com's live stream. In other news, a survey conducted by the Mercer Consultancy with 304 Mexican companies shows that 86% of companies will allow their employees to watch the 2018 World Cup. The company, which specializes in human resources, explained that 8 out of 10 Mexican firms will grant permission to staff during games of the Mexican national team, while the remaining 20% will give their employees a chance to watch the entire 64 matches of the World Cup. Remarkably, some companies will even organize breakfasts or meals, betting pools, or raffles for T-shirts. Even more striking is that if Mexico advances beyond the group stage of matches, 21% of companies said that they'll maintain the aforementioned activities. In addition, almost 70% of the companies surveyed said they'll have adapted TV rooms to allow employees to enjoy the games, while 4% mentioned that they'll enable online videos. 14% of firms will offer flexible work schedules, and 3% will allow working on Fridays until noon. Only 1% will let employees work from home. And finally, let's review the markets. The Mexican peso decreased 0.02 or 0.12% to 20.56 from 20.58 in the previous trading session. IPC Mexico increased 362 points, or 0.79%, to 46,301 from 45,940 in the previous trading session. This was all for today. Thank you for your company. I'm Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.